Good day, dear students. In today's class, we're going to be looking at this poem called A Letter, and it is by Amrita Pritham. Before we dive into the poem, let's just take a look at who the poetess here is. This is a picture of Amrita Pritham. A little bit about her. Now, Amrita Pritham was an Indian novelist, essayist, and poet who wrote in Punjabi and Hindi. She is considered the first prominent female Punjabi poet, novelist, and essayist, and the leading 20th century poet of the Punjabi language, who sorry, who is equally loved on both sides of the India-Pakistan border. Now, this was because Amrita Pritham was born in present-day Pakistan, but she later on moved to India. But that doesn't change the fact that she is loved in both countries. With a career spanning over 6 decades, that's almost 60 years, she produced over 100 books of poetry, fiction, biographies, essays, a collection of Punjabi folk songs, and an autobiography that were all translated into several Indian and foreign languages. Okay, so there's a lot about her, and she writes mostly in Punjabi and Hindi, as we've just seen, but her works have been translated in multiple languages. She has also received a lot of awards, like the Sahitya Akademi Award, which is an award which is given for your literary achievements. If you are an exceptional writer in India, or a poet, or any kind of writer, basically, you are given the Sahitya Akademi Award, which she's been given as well. She's also been given the Padma Shri, the Padma Vibhushan, the Bharatiya Jnanpith Award, and of course, I need to also tell you that she is known more for her contributions to the partition literature. She's written this very famous novel called Pinjar, and this novel has also been made into a film, and the novel is basically about women and how their agony and their suffering is very different from the kind of suffering that men perhaps had during the Indian partition. So what happened to women, and how their bodies became the biggest problem for them during the partition. Okay, so it's a beautiful novel, and like I said, it's also been made into a film. Amrita Pritham writes more on the theme of the Indian partition. Okay, but the poem that we have today is not about the partition, but it's about something which is again an issue that we still face today. And if you read through the poem, you'll understand that what she's saying makes so much of sense if only she was taken seriously. Okay, so let's see what the poem is all about. Let's read it first. So, A Letter by Amrita Pritham. Dipping my pen in the ink pots of sun and moon, I am writing to you all, my ruler friends. Before you start firing bullets, guns, and atoms, read this letter. My scientist friends, before making bullets, guns, and atoms, read this letter. Words of stars and language of rays. If you cannot read, ask some lover to read it for you. Ask some writer to read it for you. Or ask your beloved to read it for you. It is every mother's mother tongue. Get this letter read from a mother. Moon and sun are two ink pots. Lift your pen, reply to this letter, and write a word or two about the well-being of this earth, my ruler friends, my scientist friends. Okay, now the first thing that you would have noticed about this poem is that although it is titled A Letter, and we expect it to be a sort of a letter, we don't have a letter, at least in the conventional form. So it's not very clear about what is she trying to say, but the meaning at the same time is very much implied. You can understand what she's hinting at, although she does not say it in very clear terms. Okay, another thing that you need to understand is, who is she writing this letter to, because letters are usually written to someone. Okay, there's a specific reader that you have in mind. Okay, so who is this letter addressed to? So you would have understood by now that the letter is addressed to scientists and to rulers, and scientists and rulers who are engaged in, all kinds of destruction with the help of weapons. Okay, we all know this, that there are two kinds of people in this world. One that try to get power, and in that search for power and in that thirst for power, they will do anything, even if that means to destroy the world and to destroy people using the most dangerous weapons that they can create. Okay, so we all know of what happened during the world wars and what continues to happen in several parts of the world even till today. Okay, so there continue to be scientists who make these weapons, very dangerous weapons, and there continue to be rulers who, pass decisions that allow these dangerous weapons to be used. Okay, and what are the consequences of these weapons, and what are the consequences of these inventions, is what she is really looking at here. Okay, so the letter really is addressed to people like them who seek to destroy this beautiful world that we are all part of. Okay, now what is her message? Okay, what does she say, or what does she imply in this letter? It says here, dipping my pen in the ink pots of sun and moon, I am writing to you all, my ruler friends. Okay, so first of all, you will dip your pen in a normal ink pot, but somehow she doesn't go with just ink pots. She says, in the ink pots of sun and moon. Okay, so the sun and moon become her ink pots, and from there she dips her pen and she writes this letter. Okay, now this is a very metaphorical expression, and all she is really trying to tell you is that you can't really dip your pen in the sun and write, or in the moon and write. Okay, but she's just making these two comparisons. She's comparing the sun and moon to an ink pot from where you can get the ink to write this letter, because she's trying to say that the letter that I'm writing is an appeal from nature. Okay, I'm trying to write it, in a language that comes from nature, so it is uh, taken from nature's point of view, from the earth's point of view. It is not a language that, anybody can understand. Okay, so it is a very it's a very you can say a very sublime, a very deep sort of an understanding of it. She's saying this is not ordinary words that I'm using, and I'm not using the human uh, you know understanding of the world and how things need to work. I'm not looking at that way of dealing with things. I'm writing from nature's perspective. Okay, so there has to be a reason why she chooses that perspective, a very different perspective, which is not very greedy, which is not very powerful and evil. Okay, so a very different perspective. So let's go on and see what she's trying to say here. She builds on this idea a little further. But anyways, dipping my pen in the ink pots of sun and moon, I am writing to you all, my ruler friends. Before you start firing bullets, guns, and atoms, read this letter. So the first group of people that she's addressing this letter to is the ruler friends. Why? Because they are the ones who give the command to fire bullets, guns, and atoms. So bullets through, and through, of course, bullets and guns go hand in hand, and atoms, atom bombs that we're talking about, which is also capable of mass destruction. Okay. So she's trying to say that before you give a command to fire these bullets, guns, and atoms, please read my letter. Okay, so that you can think twice about the kind of decision you're about to make. Okay, another thing is bullets, guns, and atoms. If you look at it, these three words are all, they have this one common factor, that they all can destroy things. They are all the weapons of destruction. All right, but they are placed in increasing order of importance. So bullets on its own can cause very little damage. With a gun, okay, a little more damage, but atoms cause the most amount of damage. So when you have words like these that are placed in increasing order of importance, that is an example of a climax, and that is another figure of speech. All right, so bullets, guns, and atoms all are weapons used for destruction, and they are placed in increasing order of importance, and they become an example of climax. Right? So let's continue with the poem itself. It says, before you start firing bullets, guns, and atoms, read this letter. So, first, the ruler friends are supposed to read the letter. Second, she says, my scientist friends, before making bullets, guns, and atoms, read this letter. Now, it is common sense to understand that those rulers, those presidents or prime ministers or kings of whichever country it is, they would not give the command to fire these weapons or to use these weapons if the scientists had not made these weapons. Okay, that is very clear, that is commonsensical. So that's the reason why she's trying to blame the scientists as well. She's trying to say, you people also, you make these weapons of destruction, so you people also need to read my letter. Okay, and she said, before you think of making those bullets, guns, and atoms, read this letter, so that again you think twice about what you're about to do. All right. Then she goes on, and she says, words of stars and language of rays. Now, this is again going with that same idea of, using ink pots of the sun and the moon. Okay, and ink pots of the sun and the moon, and words that are of stars, and language that is of rays. So again, she's trying to tell you that I'm not using human rationality or human mindset to try and explain this to you. I'm not telling it to you from a very human perspective, because human beings can be very greedy. Human beings can be they can be very selfish, they can be very destructive. I'm talking about something higher than that. I'm talking about nature. Okay, and I'm writing this letter from the perspective of nature, which is always trying to protect, which is always trying to nurture. Okay, so I'm using that language. I'm not using a human language. I have come up with a different language of my own to give you this message that I really feel you need to listen to. Okay, and quite mockingly, like as if she's making fun of these people, the rulers and the scientists, she says, if you cannot read, if you cannot read my letter, if you cannot understand what I'm trying to say, take this letter and ask some lover to read it for you. Now, interestingly enough, although she's using a language that, she's trying to say that human beings will not be able to understand it, she still says that this letter will be understood by a lover. This letter may not necessarily be understood by scientists who are exceptionally smart, as well as rulers who are also, let's assume, very smart. Okay, but this letter will be understood by lovers. And the question you might be asking yourself is, how does it make sense? How can a lover understand this letter and see what it really means, but a scientist and a ruler may not be able to understand it? And the answer is pretty simple. Anybody who loves will understand the importance of trying to save and trying to protect, as opposed to trying to destroy things. When you love another person, or when you love people or your family, you don't have these emotions of destroying things. That is, if you truly love them and if you truly understand the meaning of the word love. Okay, so that's why she's trying to say, ask some lover to read it for you. And again, we're not just talking about love family, it could be love between one person and another, one man and a woman, the love between them. Okay, so all they want is to have more time with each other, all they want is to be safe, all they want is to protect each other, especially. Okay, so they will never think of destroying things. All right, so ask some lover to read it for you, because they understand these things. They are not of that destructive mindset. Okay, they are not greedy. Okay, they are not trying to have power or control over anything. They believe in love. Okay, so that makes them very different, that marks them apart from the rest of the world. Okay, so that's why she says, ask a lover to read this letter for you. Then she says, another person that can read it for you, ask some writer to read it for you. Again, we are assuming that writers are not ordinary human beings. They are much more elevated, and they are much deeper and higher as other human beings. Okay, so they think about others, they think about the future, they have ideas. Okay, and they are not governed by base emotions like greed or power. Okay, so this is what she's trying to say. Ask a writer to read it for you, because that writer will be able to understand what I'm trying to say about how you need to protect this world. about how, your whole games that you have, this whole politics that you have of destroying things and getting control over things, that doesn't really help anybody. Okay, so ask a lover, ask a writer. These are good human beings. They will be able to tell you what I'm trying to say. And what I'm really trying to tell you is, you need to protect the world. You cannot be so selfish, to try and destroy the people as well as destroy the earth. Okay. Then she continues to say, ask some lover, ask some writer, or ask your beloved to read it for you. Now, beloved would be people that love these scientists and these rulers. Okay, so obviously the scientists and these rulers will have their own families, their own loved ones. So those people who love these scientists or these rulers, she's even trying to tell us that ask those people to read this letter for you, because they will be able to understand my language even though you cannot see it. Okay, and of course the only reason why scientists and rulers will not be able to read this letter and will not be able to understand it on their own is because they are not capable of understanding it. Because if they were capable of understanding the importance of protecting life and protecting the earth, they would never have done what they were doing, which is trying to create weapons and allowing those weapons to destroy the world. Okay, so she's just trying to show them that you are people who don't understand this whole need to protect the world. Okay, you don't understand love for each other, love for earth as well. Okay, so that's why she says ask those people who love you, because they love you, they understand love, they know the importance of protecting things, of keeping it safe, of taking care of them, of nurturing them. Okay, and this is one of my favorite lines in the entire poem. It says here, it is every mother's mother tongue. So the language that I've used in this poem, it is every mother's mother tongue. Now, let's look at this word here, mother's mother tongue. First of all, mother tongue is basically a language that you will speak from the time that you are a child, and till the time that you pass away. That's the language that you've been speaking. That is your mother tongue. Okay, so what is the meaning of mother's mother tongue? So mother's mother tongue will mean the language that a mother speaks ever since the time that she has given birth. Because always remember, a mother is a very different person. She becomes a very different person once she becomes a mother. The life that she had before she became a mother is very different. And what has changed is she has realized, the miracle and how difficult it is to create a life. It takes 9 long months to create one life, and it takes just a second to try and destroy it. Especially if you've got atom bombs, it's even easier. Okay, so she's trying to say that this language in which I'm writing this letter, and the message that I'm trying to give you, that is every mother's mother tongue. Because every mother speaks this language of nurturing, of protecting, of taking care, okay, as opposed to destroying things. Because she understands how important it is to, and not just for her child, for any other human being, she understands the need to save and not to kill and destroy. Okay, so that is what she's trying to say here. This letter is every mother's mother tongue. They understand what I'm trying to say here. Okay, then she gives one a sort of a challenge to the reader of the letter. She says, moon and sun are two ink pots. Lift your pen, reply to this letter, and write a word or two about the well being of this earth, my ruler friends, my scientist friends. Okay, so she's saying, I'm not asking you to write me a letter, write me a response back in the world's language. Don't tell me about how things work in this world. Don't explain to me politics. Don't explain to me power. Don't explain to me governance. Don't talk about the world's language. There are two ink pots, the ink pots of the sun and the moon. We're not talking about literally, but metaphorically, she's trying to say, you look at it from nature's perspective. Look at the damage that you can do to the environment and the people living in the environment because of your actions of creating those weapons and using those weapons. So I'm writing this letter to you and I want you to respond, but respond to me in the same language that I've written to you. So use the imports of sun and moon. Use the language that lovers can understand. Use the language that is a mother's mother tongue. Use that language and reply back to me. Okay, and when you reply to me, write a word or two about the well-being of this earth, my ruler friends and my scientist friends. So reply to me saying that you've understood what I'm trying to tell you in this letter. And what I'm trying to tell you is the need for you to protect this world and this earth and everyone that lives in it. Okay, so the poem is, it's very simple, it seems very simple, but it has this very deep and resonating message which is through even till today. That is what I said to you at the start as well. If only she was taken seriously, today things would have been very different. Okay, we continue looking at people trying to get control over a certain segment, it be it Jammu and Kashmir, be it any other country as well, be it Afghanistan, be it the Middle East. There's so much of uh, destruction going on there because they're all trying to take control over the land. Okay, some people are saying this is our land, some people are saying no, this is our land, and they're trying to kill each other. Okay, so uh, she's trying to say the reason why these killings take place is because there are these weapons that are created. Okay, and who's creating these weapons? They are the scientists. So she is appealing to the scientists as well as to the rulers who give the commands to use these weapons to please think twice about what you are doing, not just to the people but also to the environment. And understand that there are people in this world that want to live, that they want to protect. Okay, so understand, look at this world and look at the entire situation in a much more humane way. Okay, don't be so selfish and so greedy and try to destroy things. That's not what we are. We're better than this. Okay.